the clerk.
Private members' business notice. Number 3, Aviation Rescue and Firefighting Services.
I call the member for Grandler.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I move the motion relating to aviation rescue and firefighting services in the terms in which it appears on the notice paper. Firefighting services at our nation's airports are critical to the safety of travellers. Our nation has an excellent record when it comes to aviation safety. We also have a strong commitment to investment in emergency services that would be necessary in the event of an accident. Indeed, in 2009, as Transport Minister in the Labor government, I was proud to deliver a $70 million program to upgrade fire trucks at our nation's busiest airports. It included 33 new trucks, new fire stations at Perth and Maroochydore, new vehicles to meet the needs of the A380, fire alarm monitoring at 20 locations nationwide. Safety is also critical at our smaller regional airports. In 2014, the Aviation Rescue and Firefighting Services responded to some 6,700 calls relating to airport emergency assistance. And that's why I today, through this resolution, am calling upon the Minister for Transport to reject the absurd proposal for a reduction in firefighting capacity at regional airports. Current Civil Aviation Safety Authority regulations require an aviation fire and rescue service at every Australian airport that has at least 350,000 passengers travelling through it each year. However, CASA has recently accepted recommendations from an infrastructure department, Aviation Rescue and Firefighting Services Regulatory Policy Review, which would weaken this standard. Going forward, the threshold would rise to 500,000 passenger movements a year. This idea makes no sense. The Minister for Transport should reject it today in the interests of safety and regional economic development. Under international standards and regulations of the International Civil Aviation Organisation, aviation firefighters are specifically trained. They must be stationed to be able to respond within 3 minutes to an aircraft crash or fire for the best chance of rescue. Our existing standards and thresholds on provision of aerodrome rescue and firefighting services reflect Australia's commitment to ICAO standards and recommended practices, including Article 9.2.1, rescue and firefighting equipment and services shall be provided in an aerodrome. Let's look at this in practical terms about what the acceptance means for regional communities that rely upon jobs in tourism and regional aviation to get access to capital cities. Here are some airports that have aviation rescue and firefighting services and are below 500,000 passenger threshold: Ballina, Coffs Harbour, Ayers Rock, Gladstone, Hamilton Island, Broome, Karratha, Newman, Port Hedland. I understand that under pressure from local communities and Labor, the government is considering maintaining firefighting services at these airports and then impose a new threshold from here on end. That, of course, would be good for those airports and communities that have fought to maintain these services, including, of course, the union that represents them. However, it would lead to a two-tiered system. In the future, airports with passenger movements between 350,000 and 500,000 per year would not be provided with firefighting facilities. Other airports are on the cusp of meeting this criteria, including Proserpine. It should have an aviation service, firefighting service established because 353,000 passengers passed through that airport last year. The government must today state clearly that the Proserpine Airport will be provided with rescue and firefighting services. Just make a decision and support this community. The change being contemplated should be rejected. Anyone who has had the privilege of being a minister in a government knows that from time to time bad ideas come forward from the bureaucracy. Some of them, once rejected, keep coming back again and again. This is one of those ideas. It first came to my attention when I was a minister and I banished it. It was a bad idea then and it's a bad idea now. These are issues upon which the Minister for Transport, who's new to the portfolio, needs to deliver. The fact is that across the board, issues of travelling and aviation safety, safety of the travelling public, have been bipartisan issues. That needs to continue to be the case. The Minister should rule out these proposals today and do it urgently in the interests of those community and in the interests of firefighting in Australia and in the interests of regional economic development in those communities.
I thank the member. Is the motion seconded? The member for Richmond seconded the motion.